Essentially, I believe in libertarianism. It couldn't be further from the Nazi ideology. They like book burnings, central government, socialism in the literal sense. It's basically the opposite of what I stand for and is in some ways closer to communism.
How do you in 20 seconds show that you do not understand multiple words? Like one after the other. I'm going to talk a little bit about the new video by Styxhexenhammer666. He who hath blocked me on the Twitter. We don't speak. He has silenced my free speech. But he's got a new video saying responding to Raw Story and leftists defaming me as a Holocaust denier and a Nazi. He's talking about me. I'm the person who made some viral posts about him being a Holocaust denier. I did that by posting the video that he denies the Holocaust in. But I'm curious to see what his opinion of this is going to be. It is from an old video, so it might be that old adage, this is an old take, I don't believe this anymore. It might be this wasn't actually Holocaust denial, I was simply saying the numbers were inflated. Or it might be that I was talking about Zyklon B being a pesticide and, you know, conspiracy theories abound. We don't know, it's kind of hard to say. There's going to be that. Possibly. I'm not entirely sure. It's a 5-minute video, so his debunk of a debunk could be a thing. But I just think it's important that we know our fash these days because the Boogaloo boys are in the news, thanks to Mr. Jimmy Dore. And now we're learning all these wonderful things about the Boogaloo boys. I remember I had to go through different articles, and this is not an article, it's a combination of links to articles from a Rational Wiki article on it, but when we were talking about the so-called Boogaloo Boys, they're a militia of far-right gun nuts formed in 2019 that are trying to spark a second American Civil War. The name is a reference to the racist dog whistle Boogaloo. They become infamous for their involvement in the George Floyd protests, trying to inflame an already burning hot situation. The interview, of course, with Jimmy Dore, which we watched yesterday, which tried to normalize the Boogaloo Boys for everybody to make sure that everyone felt nice and safe and cozy with the Boogaloo Boys, because they're not all fash. Not every single one of them are. There's some amongst them, of course, I'm sure, are fine people, some of them. And that was the interview. It's like, hey, do you know that we care about all these issues? We actually care about Black Lives Matter. We actually care about LGBTQ, stuff of that nature. I recommend it again. Everyone watch the Thought Slime video on the Boogaloo Boys to get a primer as to why modern day fascist movements like to do this. They like to downplay the more extreme elements of their ideology so that they can enter everyday society and indoctrinate more people and recruit more people to be a part of it. But the weirdest thing about the Boogaloo Boys, being that they come from a meme, is that I haven't actually seen Breaking It 2, Electric Boogaloo. And a whole bunch of clips are on movie clips in HD, so I figured before we listen to Styxhexenhammer defend his Holocaust denialism, we could take a little trip down memory lane and see what all the hype's about.
She don't. Rockin' to the beat with the breaking it down. Yes. You know this girl is fresh.
Oh,
that's good.
That's good. You don't know. You don't know, Square. Okay? Square. Why are you trying to get on our good times, narc? Speaking of narcs, let's listen to 5 minutes of Holocaust denial defense as a non-tonal shift. These are directly related, trust me.
All right, everyone, I'm taking some time out of my busy schedule of sitting there actually at the moment to respond to the defamation of Raw Story, amplifying the calls of the far left on the Hawaii GOP page that I am supposedly a Holocaust denier. Making this entirely clear, I do not deny the Holocaust. The clip that you are referring to is, at this point, I think 8 or 9 years old and doesn't represent my beliefs, number one. Never represented a denial of the Holocaust, number two. Is out of context, number three. And is promoted in bad faith by people who don't have anything else to complain about me of. Essentially, I believe in libertarianism. It couldn't be further from the Nazi ideology. They like book burnings, central government, socialism in the literal sense. It's basically the opposite of what I stand for and is in some ways closer to communism.
How do you in 20 seconds show that you do not understand multiple words? Like one after the other.
Actually. I've never stood for that. The idea that I'm a Nazi in any fashion or that I support fascism is atrociously wrong, number one. Again, argued in bad faith by people who simply bitch about me constantly, number two. And it's the same kind of people who actually are dumb enough to believe that women won't date me because of feminism thing. It's a photo shoot of a video I did in which I very much, and I'll clear this up at the same time, yes, I have a Hitler mustache in that video. Do you remember what the initial video was, Clankers? A handful of you do. It was joking about Google being similar to the Gestapo or Nazi Germany because of its initial wave of censorship. It's an anti-Nazi video, you fucknuts. But, of course, lacking context, you wouldn't understand that. Some of these people seem to think that I have fascistic beliefs. Please show me a video where I express them. I've got people on there claiming that I've made multiple videos denying the Holocaust and praising the Third Reich. Oh really, I have. Find them. Link them to me. On any platform, including the BitChute exclusives. Link them so that all the people that you're fooling there can see them. It won't happen. So Raw Story is defaming me. Maybe it's actionable, of course, depending on what happens in the future. The fact is, no, that I'm not a Nazi. Raw Story should learn to fact check, but I think they're followed by the Lincoln Project, so they don't understand facts. So here's the problem. And they're going to hide behind journalism, probably. Like, if they were sued for defamation, they'd say, well, we're allowed to say whatever.
Oh man, that was way too fast. That was just way too fast. Ugh.
Whatever the death toll was, you cannot say that every death was the result of execution. It is true, for example, that the Zyklon B, that when I was a kid, they always said, yeah, they gassed him with Zyklon B. The problem being Zyklon B is actually a delousing agent. This is not speculation or a conspiracy theory. Zyklon B continued to be used to disinfect mail and travelers' clothing as part of the delousing process into the 1960s. It's a mostly harmless chemical. You would have to get it all over yourself. The thing is, these handprints that people talk about on the walls and so forth, they can't even prove they're contemporary to the time period. They show the gas chamber at Auschwitz. The problem being the gas chamber at Auschwitz is actually a showering facility. The actual chamber that would have been the gas chamber is a far smaller unit with some pumps in it. The famous Auschwitz shower was quite literally a showering station. They've got like swimming pools at these places. I believe that there were death camps. Of course there were. However, what's not clear is if this was a deliberate extermination effort on a grand scale or whether they were primarily focusing on eliminating criminals and the
Inconclusive.
Whatever we want because of my First Amendment. Well, okay, that's very, very convenient. So, in other words, I doubt the retraction will be issued, despite the fact that they are objectively wrong. You see, you're using the present tense. Even if I had outright denied the Holocaust a decade ago, you're claiming it in the present text. Slightly different now, isn't it? Well, of course, that nuance will be lost upon leftists, because they just want something to complain about. Name one time that I've applauded the Third Reich or said anything in favor of any of their actions. Now, you're not going to find anything about it. This completely out of context 8 or 9-year-old clip is just being circulated by people because they don't like me. Well, then the other thing is they'll...
No, I mean, to be honest, I find you really boring. It's the reason we don't watch a lot of his stuff. And I don't want to have to learn how to pronounce that, so I'm just going to say his real name. Warwick grossly underestimates or outright denies several aspects of the Holocaust. In particular, Warwick doesn't question that the Holocaust took place, but questions what promotion of deaths came through the execution instead of famine or disease. This is the standard line from revisionists who pretend they aren't deniers and like to pretend they're being persecuted just for asking some questions about whether the Holocaust really happened according to the official story. He insists that Zyklon B was a mostly harmless delousing agent, and Auschwitz was burning through so much of the stuff trying to keep lice from spreading to typhus epidemic that brought on by the Allied firebombing. Oh, goddamn Allies, what are you doing? But even though it's true that most of Zyklon B in Auschwitz was used for delousing, this doesn't contradict the fact that it was also used to murder hundreds of thousands of Jews in gas chambers, because it doesn't take much to kill people with it. This is a stock claim by revisionists who are unable to deal with the evidence of mass gassings as an alternative use of the stuff predicted or precluded its use for murder. He does admit that maybe the gas was used for the occasional execution, which is an understatement. In the same vein, he supposes that the shower in Auschwitz was not an actual shower, committing the same mistake. There were plenty of real showers in Auschwitz, but this doesn't contradict the fact that the gas chambers were also disguised as showers. Warwick gave 5 stars to an obscure book, Black Nazis, A Study of Racial Ambivalence in Nazi Germany's Military Establishment. Is that still up? Oh, come on, you must have taken it down. An excellent work, Black Nazis, a study of racial ambivalence in Nazi Germany's military establishment, non-German ethnic minority, and foreign volunteers, conscripts, laborers, and POWs. This book is certainly not for those who envision nothing but pure evil upon hearing the words Nazi Germany. Oh man, Raw Story, you are fucked. You are fucked. Get ready for a wild lawsuit. How are you going to escape this one? A nice scholarly look at aspects of the period that most historians overlook, lest we forget the good pious communist Russians killed twice as many people than ever died in the Holocaust. Yeah, hashtag not all Nazis. Oh man. Oh, and here's a little background on that book that he gave a 5-star review to. The author of this work, J.A. Sexton, is a semi-antagonist towards Hitler fans. Sexton has written a book, The Hitler Worship Cult, that is neither pro-Hitler nor anti-Hitler. Sexton is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist who believes that Israel is more responsible for World War II than Hitler. Veronica Kuzniar, whose works had wrote Albion and Zion United, the Brizey, I can't say this out loud. No, that is not TOS, in which she alleges that Jewish people secretly run the world. An example, it is no secret that Yahweh, the God of the Jews, promised that they would eventually rule the world, and Jews therefore enact every effort to bring this about. Yeah.
They'll bitch about my username, my appearance, this clip, or the photo shoot of me supposedly blaming feminism for being an incel. A photo shoot of literally a video that was about left-wing censorship.
What is a photo shoot? He's like, I was gonna let the first one go, but now he said that twice. What is a photo shoot? Am I missing something?
Which is the irony of it. A video that under that title was never actually made. By the way, I am happily married and have been for some time now. But you wouldn't know that looking at their commentary. The whole point is just to deny reality. Because reality doesn't bode well for leftism. The reality is that people reject their ideology. They don't have to be Nazis or Holocaust deniers or far-right or extreme or follow QAnon or the Proud Boys or any of these things in order to reject their shitty ideology. Most people just naturally do.
Oh, but it's 4chan slang. I'm not completely familiar with my 4chan slang, but there you have it.
They think that anyone that rejects that is problematic, and so they go digging for dirt online like the little parasites that they are, because they've got no legitimate beef with people like me. I would also posit that they're afraid of people like me. They realize that a person who is not extreme has reached a huge audience but continues to promote the alternatives to big tech that are used by these people. They want their echo chamber.
Some of his other views on Nelson Mandela. When Mandela died, Warwick made a video rejoicing at his death. He stated that apartheid did need to end, but that Mandela was the leader of movements that should have been classed as terrorists. So there's that. LGBT rights. He supports gay marriage and made a video, Donald Trump is making a mistake by not endorsing the protection of homosexuals because it was aligned with his libertarian views. However, he loses those views when he talks about transgender people. He is pretty much straight from the TERF rulebook. He doesn't understand the difference between sex and gender or what a transgender person actually is. He claims that Hitler and the Nazis were socialists, going full conservatipedia. Wow. Well, you know what this calls for.
Yeah! So now you know why they're the best. Don't stop the contest, forget the rest. Just kick up the dough and stop the show. Or they'll stay here and rock a little more.
Hello everyone at the Serfs TV, it's me, Matthew Hayne from the Matthew Hayne Show. I just wanted to say hello. Check me out on YouTube if you're interested. I'm an Aussie progressive who talks about Australian, American, British, Latin American, African and global politics just in general, and occasionally goes on to impassionate rants like a left-wing Alex Jones without most of the conspiracy theories. Most. Hope to see you soon.
If you want us to advertise your channel or work, please go to weareserfs.com and email us a 20 to 30 second ad, and we'll take it on to the end of one of our videos to help promote your leftist channel or progressive something. Whatever you do.
To our gods, I'm Raph, Xander Corvus, and Schlatsky. We shall build golden idols in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, you have our undying fealty. To our lords, Jeffrey Lamb, Trevor R., Hans Josephen, C. Bartlett, Jimothy K. Meeple Beeps Jr., Bisexual Black Gamer, and Trofox, we shall carry your banners onto the battlefield. To our Knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Dylan Byte, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Political Puppy, Jimmy Bignuts, Andreas Chitoro, Good Poon Hates Cops, That's Solid Poon Then, Dr. Zayas, Yoppie, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Thomas Barrington, J. Fraser Cartwright, Goofalankius, Melissa Murphy, Nicholas Marks, Alexander Thaler, Ali Rada Jafer, Alex Gauvin, Radical Maniac, The Great Houdini, and Callie Kotka. We salute you.